Well, hey, Gundam fans, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. Today's episode, we're actually going to talk about all the mobile suits that we see in 0080 War in the Pocket. Now, I recently did a review of each episode in the series, so if you check back on my channel and haven't watched those, they're there for your viewing pleasure. I can kind of give you an idea of what happens plot-wise, character-wise, etc. throughout the story. Other than the amazing story that it has on its own, the other draw for fans to watch something like this are the mobile suits. That's what we're all into, right? So for this video, I'm going to start diving into all the different mobile suits and some of the other technology used in 0080 War in the Pocket. Now, before I get started, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. There's a video linked in the description below. It's for a giveaway I'm doing. Once I hit 800 subscribers, I'll be giving away 2 more things. Just comment something you'd like to get, and I'll do my best, depending on the price, to get something for you that's Gundam related. So yeah, let's get started. All right, to add some context to the world building in 0080 where we're seeing these mobile suits is it's located at Side 6 that's known as Rhea. It's specifically the certain colony called Rebo. Okay, so, that's something to keep in mind. There's these L places within the Earth sphere, like L1, L2, L3, and this is in L4, so they have their different sides within the different Ls. I think that's for Lagrange or something similar to that. Anyway, at L4 is Side 6, known as Rhea. Now, they're actually not part of the one-year war that is taking place at this time. They wanted to be autonomous from Zeon or Federation, but the Federation kind of helps out with them. And that was what kind of helps propel the story forward in terms of the mobile suits that show up. And all this information I'm getting from the Gundam Wiki, which is great information. It's worth checking out if you wanted to follow up on something. If there's something that seems missing or wrong, let me know. I'd like to be able to, as I go and do these videos, edit and fix some information. This Rebo colony contained a Federation R&D base, and that's key here. It was attacked in late December UC 0079 by the Zeon's elite Cyclops team and later targeted for nuclear attack in December 26. Fortunately, the colony was saved when Federation forces successfully intercepted the Zeon fleets. We'll get more into that. So right now, we're going to start with the first thing we've seen. That's the Jukan-class submarine. It's a Zeon submarine from the Cyclops team, like a Special Forces Zeon team. Now, they went to go infiltrate a Arctic base on Earth that potentially had some Federation prototype weaponry, and really, Zeon is wanting to destroy anything that the Federation forces could be creating. Now, it's first seen in 0079, but we also see it in 0096. Now, that could be from that, from Unicorn, the Torrington base attack, because we see a lot of Zeon remnants located there. Now, because the Zeon and the Cyclops team are doing an underwater attack to kind of sneak into the Arctic base of Federation, they have a lot of Aqua units as well. One of them being the MSM-07E Zegok E. Now, this one just looks like you would expect from a Zegok, very reminiscent of, what Char used in 0079. In fact, the E looks like it stands for experiment, so that's pretty cool. Now, real quickly, here's some screens showing it from 0080. Very cool seeing it as it launched from underwater. All right, and another one that was included in that portion of 0080 War in the Pocket is the MSM-03C Hygog. Another Aqua-based unit that we see a lot of in Unicorn at the Torrington base. So, real quick, only a limited number of the Hygog were built towards the end of the one-year war. So in December, UC 0079, Zeon Cyclops Team Special Forces used 3 Hygog among other mobile suits to attack an Earth Federation Forces Arctic base in an attempt to destroy a prototype mobile suit. The mission failed as the prototype was launched into space before any of the Zeon mobile suits could destroy it. Some Hygog units would survive the one-year war and find their way into the hands of various factions in UC 0096. They would modify the Hygogs with different weaponry. So yeah, again, they show up again in Unicorn. All right, and once they get to the land and stop fighting, we see this RGM-79D GM Cold Districts type. It's a GM, Cold Districts type. Obviously, it works in the Arctic region. And it's developed from the basic RGM-79, so very cool to see the kind of this evolution. It's terrain specific. Now, as the Federation is being attacked at the Arctic base, they're trying to escape, and we see the C-88 Medea. This is an aerial transport ship, and it's cool to kind of see more than just mobile suits sometime to see how they look. It looks like it was developed from the just called Medea, which looks like something out of 0079, but it says it's featured in the 08 MS team and a Gundam Thunderbolt. And according to the history, we also see this in Stardust Memory. I guess they were used to transport mobile suits to Torrington base after Annabelle Gatto's theft of the GPO2. All right, and then we see this 63 STS Ginga or Jinga. Not too much on this. So if anyone happens to have more information, maybe found from some other resources like mobile suit encyclopedias or other reference material, it would be cool to fill this out even more. But basically, this is a shuttle used to help transport the Alex, which is the reason the Cyclops team was there in the first place, off Earth and into space into hiding. Once the story moves to side 6 and we start getting to know the characters, a battle breaks out, and I'm sort of unclear of the purpose. It could be that Zeon is aware that the shuttle landed at side 6, and so they just wanted to start an attack. From here is where we start seeing some other mobile suits. We see the RGM-79G GM Command. So it's not a cold district type. It's kind of just a basic command unit developed from the cold districts type. Very interesting. And it seems like not too many were built, and they were relegated to defense to certain colonies. So that's very interesting information. And here we see some shots from 0080. And around that same time is when we get the first look at the MS-06FZ Zaku 2 Kai. Now, for fans of the Zaku 2, it's really cool to see this Kai version. I really like how they kind of add the red in that cockpit area. We see the yellow on the tubing. Just a really cool upgraded look from the Zaku 2. And yeah, it says developed from the Zaku 2 specifically. So we know just a little bit more was added onto it. Let's see. And then with the different helmet type as well, which I have the I have the Robot Spirits and the 100 RE100 version, and they both come with the multiple helmets to put on. Now, while we see multiple in 0080, it was mainly Bernie's mobile suit that was used. He crashed in it at the beginning, repaired it to use later on to fight the Gundam Alex. At that same time, we get a cool look at the MS-09R to Rickdom 2. Again, there was that battle little skirmish that broke out where we see the command GM. We saw that Zaku 2 Kai, and we see this Rickdom as well. Now, this is developed from the standard 09R Rickdom, so we can take a look at that. Yeah, pulled straight from near the end of 0079, so that kind of fits in the timeline of development of these Rickdoms now being utilized in the 1 Year War, and then having kind of specific versions used. We also see it later on outside Side 6, so this is where Cyclops' team is trying to sneak in, and so this like kind of decoy battle takes place where we see some other mobile suits. And here's a really cool shot of it in 0080. What I like with some Gundam, I've even seen this in Double Zeta, is when there's like some real extreme close-up shots, we see the real type markings here. So you can notice on the tubing, for instance, like little triangles that almost would look like where the caution would be. We see like the text boxes that also on the tubing, but also on the collarbone area and over on the helmet, we also see some more of that red real type marking. So that's very cool to see that detail when it's up close. And here's another shot of it, just kind of seeing it to scale within the colony. All right, and let's look at this Musai class final production type. Now, we see a couple different types of Zeon ships that are outside the colony. Just when referencing characters, speaking about the story, but also the little battle that kind of broke out outside the colony. Again, this is developed from the Musai class, but it's interesting that this is considered the final production type. So it's not a prototype ship, and I guess this is what maybe went into mass production as well. Yeah, and as it speaks of here, there were two ships, the Siegfried and the Valkyrie. And I guess they were escorting the Tive class we'll look at in a second. And this is so it allowed the Cyclops team to get in. They had hijacked a commercial ship or had stolen it so they can sneak aboard and get to the colony. So here's the Tive class ship, also known as the Shive class final production type. So this is developed from just Shive class. Let's look at this for a second. Okay, so this is from Narrative, December Sky. So very interesting how it's developed from, but these are actually from future series. That's very interesting. But really cool look at this. I really like how they make the enemy ships look compared to the original 0079, because one thing about 0080 that people like is how they were able to take those 70-ish style designs and kind of modernize them. And they did a really good job because it even stands the test of time for today. And just real quick, it has a triple mega particle gun, missile launcher, twin anti-aircraft gun, and nuclear missile. So this could be in reference to the nuke that it had that they were planning to hit the colony with. So, and I guess it's known as the Graf Zeppelin. And I guess, yeah, when we look at the picture here, it does say Zeppelin on the side. All right, and during that little skirmish that was outside the colony where we're seeing kind of different mobile suits show up, some that were launched were this MS-14JG Gelgoog Jaeger. and I actually did a Robot Spirits review of this on my channel. But just a cool updated Gelgoog. I'm sure a lot of this was being done near the end of the 1 Year War, although right after that, development in a way halted, splintered. So we started seeing some vastly different types of mobile suits develop from there. Yeah, and it comes from the standard MS-14A Gelgoog. And again, there was a custom version that Shar had himself. Something I want to point out is sometimes I'm seeing the colony referred to as Rebo and sometimes as Libot. So either I'm misunderstanding something or there were changes in name. If anyone knows and could put that in the comments, that would be great. I'm going to try to do some more look into that. But yeah, here's a cool shot of it when it's being launched from that Zeppelin ship. And I like how we see the mobile suits, how they're set up in the hangar. There's an arm kind of attached to it and allows it to then exit the hangar. All right, and here we are with the MS-18E Kampfer. Again, I've done a deep dive on this one, as well as a review of the Robot Spirits version. There's also an awesome RE100 scale model of this. It's very awesome. Tons of armaments developed from the Kampfer prototype. So let's take a look at that real quick. Very cool. Kind of looks the same. Let's see. I don't think this was ever in the original Mobile Suit Gundam, but it looks like it was introducing some side stories that were related to that. But this development here of the E just looks amazing. Now, this unit was snuck in when the Cyclops team snuck in. They had that commercial vessel that got them in. They had these trucks that had the parts so that they were able to sneak into the colony with multiple trucks, get to a warehouse, and start assembling the Kampfer together. And then we see it break through the hangar and start marching through the city, ready to attack, specifically going to where the prototype weaponry, the Alex, was hiding in the Federation R&D base. But this is then what started another defense at the colony from Federation. And that's when we get to the Gray Phantom. So very cool. This is similar to the white base, just, a little more upgraded, modernized. It has kind of that same look. It has kind of the wings, the side, circular global things, as well as the top deck area. But this also contained the Scarlet team of mobile suits that was defending the colony. And it's a Pegasus class assault carrier. Now, if we look at Pegasus class, picture of the white base, so we can kind of see where that development comes from. And it looks like the purpose of the Gray Phantom, right, it happened to be at the colony, but it was actually there to retrieve the Gundam Alex, but the Alex was destroyed before it could do that. So that's kind of interesting further information about why was that ship even there in the first place when really it's supposed to be a neutral colony. It's not even supposed to be the Alex there, but hey, they had to retrieve it somehow. So that makes sense for the next mobile suits we're seeing to be there and show up and be able to defend. So that brings us to this RGM-79 Command Space Type. So that's part of the Scarlet team that was on that ship we were just looking at, the Gray Phantom. And it's developed from the Cold Districts type. So again, it's another one where it seems like the Cold Districts was the base. It could have to do with maybe terrain or some upgraded thrusters. I think I saw that in here somewhere. And it looks like from here, yeah, instead they were relegated to colony and base defense. 2 units were assigned to the Scarlet team in defense of the Rebo colony at Side 6. Again, we see Rebo here, but I saw Libot in the other one. I could be confusing. Yeah, it was known to be used during Zeon's attacks on Side 6 colony of Libot. Here's a shot of it in Space Command, with that Jaeger from earlier, right outside the colony. And also from the Scarlet team is the RX-77D gun cannon mass production type. Okay, very interesting that I go to look at this, but it is, let's see, yeah, it's kind of cutting it off there. I wanted to kind of get a further look at it, because as we could see here, it has the 2 guns. It's very cool. It's like the gun cannon that we see from Operation V from original 0079 Mobile Suit Gundam, but this upgraded look looks fantastic. Yeah, developed from the RX-77-2 gun cannon. Yeah, and here we see with the GM, where it launched from the Gray Phantom in the colony. And a shot of it getting shot. And yeah, I think at that point you see it kind of land and crash in the colony, killing people. All right, and finally we get to the star of the show, the RX-78NT-1 Gundam Alex. So originally, this was a Gundam prototype to be designed for Amuro Ray, because Amuro Ray was kind of the star of the show in terms of being the best pilot to run up against Zeon, especially Char. And he was also a new type. So this Gundam Alex was specifically designed. We see the NT in the title, RX-78 NT. Now, what's interesting is Chris McKenzie was kind of the data analyst. So she was sitting in the cockpit just to kind of use it in more of a training scenario to kind of get data from it. And she even makes mention of how it's very hard to control. Someone with sharp skills would have to be able to use it and handle it. And she's really referring to Amuro Ray. And as it says here, developed from the RX-78 too. And then from that, developed into quite a bit different ones. We have just a new type use, prototype Gundam, the GM Cannon 2, very interesting, 79M GM Custom. So a lot of interesting features. The Tristan, which I haven't dived into too much, but would like to look up that. But this RX-78 NTX sounds interesting. So let's take a look at that. That is sick. Is a mobile suit which was featured in the video game SD Gundam G Generation series. So SD Gundam, isn't that super deformed? So was it really only for that purpose? But that looks awesome. Love the look of that. I want to say this is something someone had to have shared in our Discord because that looks amazing. Now, other things about the Alex is it had the Choban armor. So we can see a ceramics hybrid outer shelled blow-up act-on materials. Okay. But I think that's actually a real thing because I was doing a search on Choban and it was showing up as a real world thing. So basically, it's cool that the Alex has this extra armor. Now, I would assume on the ground it makes it slower, and that could be what we were seeing, although it has all the thrusters. So at the beginning of the attack, when it had to get away from the Kampfer, it was laying flat on the ground horizontally, and Christina knocked on the thrusters. It went flying out the back of the hangar, and then appeared to fight the Kampfer. And so with this Alex, this is what really propels the story because it was being developed for Amuro Ray, which is the whole basis of 0079, the Mobile Suit Gundam original series. Because the Cyclops team found it and was attacking the Arctic base on Earth, it had to take off. And it was hiding at a neutral colony, Side 6. And so that's why the Cyclops team then went and attacked that colony to try to destroy the Gundam. So really, being a side story here makes sense calling it War in the Pocket because it's just people that were affected by the main storyline. All right, and here's a cool little surprise mobile suit, the RH-35E RIA 35 Draken E. So this is a middle-class mobile suit operated by the RIA Republic Civil Defense Forces. So this is very cool. It's not a full-on, huge, gigantic mobile suit. In fact, the few times we see it is when there's that first attack that occurs. We kind of see the hangar that they're in. Everyone's loading up into it. And here we go when it gets destroyed by the Kampfer. And we see a variant of it, and it has something that's super related to a power loader from Aliens, though that could be on other things. I just don't know it. But this is where they're loading the nuke. There's another shot of it where it's loading the nuke into the Zeppelin. So, very interesting that we get to kind of see this different type of mobile suit. Yeah, they even call it a worker machine. Were used by the Zeon forces stationed in Granada, but also we see them at the Side 6 colony. So they seem to be kind of a mass-produced, general use, non-combat mobile suit that's much smaller. And we kind of see like the petite type mobile suits too. We see in Char's counterattack. We see Hathaway get into one to try to sneak back aboard on the ship. Well, anyway, that's coverage of the mobile suits and other things that we see in 0080 War in the Pocket. I'll have the links down below from the wiki. Feel free to add maybe in the comments if I missed any mobile suits or got anything wrong, or is there some more information out there we don't have. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and we'll talk later.